Right, I wonder what people thought of the fitness idea. Okay then, let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Hayes, and over the past few years, with both MMORPGs ruling my life and now the global lockdown closing all the gyms, I have gotten out of shape. So my plan is simple. I'm going to get into super shape, the best shape of my life. But fitness can be quite boring, so I'm going to gamify it. I'm going to combine it with my love of video games and MMORPGs to track my progress video game style. Now there's a hell of a lot I'm going to have to cover. I'm going to have to measure all of my body measurements and track all of my exercises. I'm going to have to buy all new exercise clothes. I'm going to have to change my diet, and I'm going to have to make sure I'm getting enough sleep. And I'm going to be combining all of these things into a video game style trackable system. So, let's begin. Before we start, remember to like the vid and subscribe to the channel, then click the little bell icon to be notified of all future videos. A massive thank you to all my supporters on Patreon and Twitch who make all my content possible, and the YouTube commenters who were so keen to see this series start. The start of my journey will be like any other MMORPG, character creation. I need to make me, and then find out what important stats I'm going to track. So, I've knocked up a super basic character creation screen. It's not much, but I'm not a graphic designer, so this will do for now. So what important information do we need? Well, most MMOs have you name your character, so we'll add that on. Then likely a level. God, this makes me feel so old. And now a class. Well, I'm an actor and an entertainer, so I guess Bard is the most accurate. Now comes the tricky part. What stats do I track? You see, stats in MMOs are brilliant because you can see at a glance how good you are at something, so I need something specific, some understandable, trackable fitness things. I could just go with the classic Dungeons & Dragons stats, strength, dexterity, constitution, and so on, but these aren't specific enough. I can't just say strength. I need to know exactly what kind of strength and how I train it. So what I've decided to do is put 6 important measurements that I can track and improve on every few weeks. The first is my weight. Lower won't always mean better. As I lose fat and gain muscle, this might actually go up because muscle is denser than fat, but it's important for me to track. Next, I've chosen 5 major exercises that will test 5 major muscle groups in my body. They're all body weight exercises, so I won't need any fancy equipment or weights. If you want to track your own progress as well, you can, and I'd encourage that. By tracking these 5 and pushing myself to failure on each one every few weeks, I'll be able to see if my training is working and how much I've improved by. I'll consider it leveling up. The first, press-ups. The standard lie down flat, push your body up and then back down. Quick note on press-ups. When you have your hands out in front of you, the muscle you're training is actually dictated by the angle your elbow flies out at. When you bring your arms closer, if your arms are in towards your body, you'll be training your tricep on the outside. So every time you push up, you're training the outside muscle. When you do a press up, if you push your elbows outwards away from you, you're actually training your shoulders and more toward your chest. Now, I already have an exercise for my tricep, so all of my press ups will be flying out, training my shoulders. Next, pull-ups. I have a pull-up bar in the doorway to my kitchen. These are pretty cheap and will focus mainly on biceps. Tricep dips will help hit my triceps. Sit-ups will test my stomach and core strength, and bodyweight squats will hit the major muscles in my legs. Now there are many more exercises and many more muscles in the body, but there's no way I'll be able to track and train and hit every single muscle every single time. So I've chosen these 5 major exercises to give me a general overview of my general fitness. So if we're going to start and train as a video game character, I need to know what stats I'm starting with. So I need to go and do all of these exercises to absolute failure. And to prove I did it, I've filmed all of them. Weight was the easiest one to start with, and I clock in at 162.2 pounds. If you're going to weigh yourself, remember to use a firm surface, not a carpet, otherwise you'll get an inaccurate reading. I also know you're not meant to wear socks, but if you want to see my feet, you've got to join my OnlyFans. The first exercise was press-ups. I made sure to start off lying down flat, hands roughly by my shoulders, push up with elbows pointing outwards to make sure I'm hitting my shoulders and chest, and then all the way down as close as I can to the floor without actually touching the floor. I make sure sure after each push to return to a full position with my arms locked out at the top, and I kept it slow and steady throughout the whole thing. Turns out, if I push myself to failure, I'm able to do 30 press-ups. Pull-ups next. Now, depending on where you have your grip, depends on what muscles you're training. If you have a wide grip, as in arms far apart, you'll be training your back and some of your chest. I don't want to do that. I want to have a closer in grip with my palms facing toward me, which will mean I'm training mainly my biceps. For the pull-ups, I made sure to go all the way up, get my chin over the bar, and then all the way down so my arms were locked out straight for every single one. Each individual pull-up was a full and complete motion, and it turns out if I push myself as far as I can do 7. Also, look at that stomach. That's not a six-pack. Don't worry, that'll change. Next up is tricep dips. This is basically the opposite of the bicep curl. Muscles work in what are called antagonistic pairs. While one muscle will pull a joint one way, the other muscle will pull it the other. So with biceps curling your arm towards you, triceps allow you to extend it outwards. By doing what are effectively inverted push-ups, you're training your triceps. Also, you'll notice my dogs are joining us for this one. The white fluffy one is called Apollo, and the little dachshund is called Piper. They will feature quite heavily in this new series. Tricep dips totaling 31. I would have hit 30, but the dogs encouraged me to do one more. Now we start the sit-ups. I've got my legs braced under my sofa, so all of the energy is being put through my stomach, lower and upper abdomen. Now, some of you may know, before I started acting and Twitch streaming or YouTubing full-time, I was a martial arts instructor, so I used to do sit-ups all day, every day. I think I've lost quite a lot of it, but I want to see how far I can go. I'm aiming for at least 50, but I'm going to push myself until I absolutely cannot do any more. By this point, I've completely lost count of how many I've actually done, and I keep telling myself I'll have to go back and watch the footage again and tally them up. I think I'm over 100, and I never expected to get this far, so now I'm just going to go until my stomach gives up. 163 sit-ups, better than I ever thought I'd be able to do. Clearly I've kept some of my strength from years past. I am so shattered by this point, I have to roll along the floor to turn the camera off. And unfortunately, every time I try and level up, I've got to beat this number in one go. And finally, body weight squats. When doing a squat, it's important that the ball of your foot and your heel stay firmly planted on the floor the entire time. Most people have a habit of rolling forward onto their toes or rolling back onto their heel. This changes where the muscle is that you're using. I want to make sure my foot stays firmly planted on the floor throughout the entire motion. Squat down as low as I can and then straight back up to a full standing position. No cheats and no shortcuts. This exercise is probably the closest to my namesake, as I'm called Strife, as I love Final Fantasy VII, and in the Final Fantasy VII, both original and remake, there is a squat challenge, so this is my own version of that. Let's see how many I can do. And then the camera's battery died, but I didn't do that many more. I think I ended on 104 bodyweight squats. So now I know all 6 major numbers, I can put them into the character sheet, and we start off looking like this. Now I know my starting weight and how many of each of these 5 major exercises I've chosen I can do. If you're following along at home or doing your own version of this, don't worry if you can do more or less than me. We're all individual, we're all different, and we're all going to progress at a different rate. I have a lot more to cover. Diet, exercise specifically, supplements, clothing. There's a lot to look at and a lot to learn, and slowly but surely I'm going to build the body I want, and we can do it together, and I look forward to sharing the journey with you. Once again, a huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon and Twitch, who make all my content possible. You can come and chat to me live on Twitch or join the Discord. Links are all below, or support the Patreon from only £1 a month. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a great day.